You just canceled plans again. You told yourself you were tired. You told yourself you'd make it up to them next time. But some part of you knew the truth. You didn't want to go. And here's the part that might surprise you. That instinct wasn't weakness. Research suggests it might actually be a sign of a sharper mind at work. For years, you've probably carried a quiet belief that wanting to be alone means something is wrong with you, that real happiness comes from being surrounded by people constantly, and if you'd rather sit in silence, you're broken, antisocial, missing something everyone else has figured out. Here's the sentence that ends that belief. Your need for solitude isn't a malfunction. It's a feature of a mind that's outgrown a reward system built for a world that no longer exists. Feel that for a second. You are not behind everyone else in learning how to be happy. You are running a more efficient version of the operating system. Here's the insight before the explanation. The more intelligent you are, the less happiness you tend to get from constant socializing, and the more you get from time spent alone with your own thoughts. That's not an opinion. Researchers Norman Lee and Satoshi Kanazawa found exactly this pattern when they studied life satisfaction across thousands of people. For most people, more socializing meant more happiness. For the most intelligent people in the study, it was the opposite. More time with others actually lowered their satisfaction. Why would that be true? Think of your brain like it's still running old software. For most of human history, being around the tribe constantly was survival. Isolation meant danger. So your brain evolved to reward you for sticking close to others all the time. That reward system is still installed in almost everyone, but a sharper, more adaptable mind updates faster than the rest. It finds new sources of satisfaction, ideas, focus, solving problems that the old system never accounted for. So when you'd rather work alone than sit through another group hangout, you're not ignoring your nature. You've simply upgraded past the default setting. There's a second piece of this that explains why crowds actually exhaust you, not just bore you. Your nervous system has a baseline setting for stimulation. Some people start low, understimulated by default, so they chase noise, people, and novelty to feel normal. Other people start high. Their system is already close to full before they even walk into the room. At a party, a long meeting, hours of small talk, and they don't just get bored, they get overloaded. That's why you can have a genuinely good night out and still come home feeling drained. Not because the night was bad, because your brain was working overtime to process input it didn't need more of. This isn't a theory about personality types you read on a quiz. It's a practical tool. Once you know your baseline runs high, you stop treating exhaustion after socializing as a mystery and start treating it as expected maintenance, the same way you'd expect to be tired after a workout. Now you know why this happens. Here's what it actually looks like in your life. It's the coworker who eats lunch alone, not because nobody invited them, but because those 45 minutes of quiet are the only thing keeping their afternoon focused. It's you, leaving a party an hour before it ends, not out of rudeness, but because you've learned exactly where your limit sits. It's the relief you feel, the actual physical relief, when a plan gets canceled and you suddenly have your evening back. It's doing your best thinking in the shower, on a walk, at your desk with the door closed, never in the meeting where everyone's talking at once. It's the way a group chat that never stops buzzing feels less like connection and more like static you have to wade through. It's choosing the same quiet coffee shop over and over instead of trying somewhere new and crowded, because familiarity means your brain doesn't have to work to feel comfortable. None of that is antisocial. All of it is a mind telling you exactly what it needs to function well. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. This isn't a character flaw you need to manage around other people. It's information. Your exhaustion after socializing is data. Your relief when plans fall through is data. Your preference for working alone is data. The question was never what's wrong with you. It's what is your mind actually asking for, and are you willing to listen? So here's how you actually use this, starting today. First, stop treating your energy like it's unlimited and infinitely renewable through more socializing. Treat it like a battery with a specific capacity. Before you say yes to anything, ask one question. Will this fill me back up, or will it cost me? Not whether you'll enjoy it in the moment, whether you'll have anything left afterward. That single question will change more decisions than any amount of willpower ever has. Second, build recovery time into your schedule the same way you'd schedule a meeting, not as an afterthought, not as whatever's left over after everyone else gets your time. Block it, protect it. If an hour alone after work is what lets you function, that hour is not optional, it's maintenance. Third, when guilt shows up, and it will because you've been trained to feel guilty about this, don't argue with it in your head. Just say this to yourself: I'm not avoiding people, I'm choosing what my mind needs right now. That single sentence does more work than you'd expect, because guilt thrives on vague self-doubt, and it deflates the second you replace the doubt with a clear reason. Fourth, you need language for other people, because they will ask, and vague excuses invite more questions. Keep it simple and confident. Try this: I need some quiet time to recharge. I'll be better company after. Or this: I do my best thinking alone, so I'm going to take tonight for myself. You don't owe anyone an elaborate justification. A short, calm, specific sentence closes the conversation faster than an apology ever will, because apologies invite negotiation, and simple facts don't. Fifth, notice the difference between two feelings that get confused constantly. Loneliness is wanting connection and not having it. Solitude is choosing your own company and finding it enough. If time alone leaves you restless and empty, that's loneliness, and it's worth addressing. If it leaves you clearer, calmer, and more like yourself, that's solitude, and it's worth protecting. Learn to tell them apart, because one is a problem to solve, and the other is a resource to defend. Sixth, redesign your week around your actual wiring instead of everyone else's. If your calendar is currently full of obligations that drain you and empty of time that restores you, that imbalance is fixable. You don't need to overhaul your whole life. You need to protect one block of solitary time this week that you didn't protect last week. Start there. Small, consistent, non-negotiable. Seventh, get specific about what actually recharges you, because not all alone time is equal. Scrolling your phone alone for an hour isn't the same as reading, walking, or working on something that absorbs your attention. Passive alone time can leave you just as drained as a bad party. The recovery you're looking for comes from focused solitude, not just an empty room. Notice which activities actually leave you clearer afterward, and build your recharge time around those specifically, not just around the absence of people. Eighth, pay attention to the difference between the people who drain you and the people who don't. This isn't really about people versus solitude. It's about depth versus noise. A single real conversation with someone who gets you can feel more restorative than an hour alone, while an evening of small talk with a crowd can feel more draining than any amount of solitude. So the goal isn't to withdraw from everyone. It's to get honest about which interactions are actually worth your limited energy, and to stop spending that energy on the ones that aren't. Ninth, when you're the one who needs to explain this to someone close to you, a partner, a family member, a best friend, go a step further than the short script from before. Try this: it's not about you. My mind runs better with regular time to reset, and giving myself that time actually makes me better company when I'm with you. Said calmly, without apology in your voice, that sentence usually lands. People rarely push back on a boundary stated as fact. They push back on a boundary stated as an excuse. 10th, expect pushback anyway, especially from people who measure closeness by how much time you spend together. That reaction usually isn't about you specifically. It's their own discomfort with a need they don't share, showing up as concern or hurt feelings. You don't have to fix that discomfort for them. You can acknowledge it kindly and still hold your boundary. Both things are allowed to be true at once: that someone else is disappointed, and that your choice was still the right one for you. Now here's the part you actually need to hear. You are allowed to say no without a paragraph of justification. You are allowed to leave early. You are allowed to feel relief instead of guilt when plans fall through. And that relief does not make you a bad friend, a bad partner, or a bad person. You are allowed to need less contact than the people around you, without that meaning you need less connection, or care about people less. You are allowed to protect your energy the same way you'd protect anything else that matters to you. The guilt you've been carrying was never proof that something is wrong with you. It was proof that you were measuring yourself against a standard that was never built for your mind in the first place. Let it go, not because solitude is better than connection, but because your version of a good life doesn't have to look like everyone else's, and it never had to. You don't owe the world an explanation for how your mind is wired. You don't have to earn your alone time by being productive during it, and you don't have to justify it by pointing to research every time someone raises an eyebrow. You're allowed to want less noise than the person next to you. You're allowed to change your mind about plans as your energy shifts through the day. You're allowed to protect a quiet evening as fiercely as you'd protect any other part of your life that actually matters to you. So the next time you cancel those plans and that flicker of guilt shows up right on schedule, you'll know exactly what to do with it. You'll recognize it for what it is, an old alarm going off for no real reason, and you'll let it pass. You didn't cancel those plans because something is wrong with you. You canceled them because some part of your mind already knew exactly what it needed, and for the first time, you're not going to argue with it.